Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with another Picard review. Star Trek Picard, the final season, episode number 9, Vox. IMDb gave this a 9.5. Dude,
Yep,
a
right off the bat,
9.5.
man.
Mm-hmm.
9.5 is too low. It
Yeah,
should be higher than that.
it should be higher than that.
Absolutely.
So,
This is
okay,
we
so
talked about
are
this
you,
before, but like this is the
yes,
best show
on TV
sci-fi related on TV right now by
all day.
far. It's not even close.
So, are you
It's
saying
not
just to
close,
get it
bro.
out the way that you're giving this a 10?
Yeah, it's tens across the board, man.
10s across the board. I agree. This is a 10, man. This joint was fire. Do you know
Yeah.
that, and I said this like offline, how I'm impressed with the storytelling of this entire show thus far, The storytelling is amazing. It's artistic. They have all these subplots that are coming together, and Jack is like growing on me. It's a shame that Shaw was killed, but
Yeah, that hurt me. That hurt a lot because I looked at him like he's the future of the show.
yeah.
Like I thought he's gonna be like a great addition to the cast because he
Mhm.
fit right in. Like he's got the salt and pepper in there too, so like he's old enough, but like he fit with the culture and the style of what these guys have been doing for all these decades, and
Yeah.
he's a great loss. Like I was sad about that, but yeah, man, it's interesting that you're right with all the storytelling. Like if you look at this entire season, they've had little bits and pieces of info dropped here and there to set you up for the last two shows. And like we were talking about offline about how they had the transporter thing, and Ro was like, "I'm not gonna get the transporter." Uh, everyone's like, "Why is she why is she going in the? Why is she flying over there instead of using the transporter like everybody else?"
She
And then
knew.
yeah, she knew. But I'm saying like there's little bit of things that there's callbacks throughout the whole entire season.
Yep.
Like with Jack seeing like the vines and getting to the collective, like it's little things here and there, and like that's like usually on a lot of these TV shows when they have like a callback to something, these storylines don't go anywhere. They
Yeah,
totally
that's
forget
true.
about them when they're editing and whatever, and it just ends up on the cutting board. Whatever the real story was, it doesn't materialize into anything meaningful. And this show here, it feels like they wrote down everything, they mapped it out exactly right. They had the right actors for it, the storylines fit for the age groups, and everything, and it works seamlessly. It's A+ across the board, man.
Mhm.
I am so excited about this show, and it hurts that it's ending right now.
Terry Matalis, I think that's the showrunner's name,
Yeah.
the director. He
Mhm.
watched all of the Star Trek movies. He watched
Yeah, he watched
all of the
everything.
Star Trek shows. The other thing he did, and this is what I love because the first and second season, you know, man, people were bashing the show like, this show sucks, yada yada yada. And someone said,
Yeah.
we got to make this better. And that's what they did. Now, really
Yep.
quickly, you were talking about how Ro Lauren, she was like, no, I'm going to take a shuttle. And that's
Mhm.
because of the brilliant way that the
This is great
Borg
storyline, man.
completely infiltrated the Federation. And they did it with patience. It
Mhm.
took a generation for this entire, basically
Mhm.
seed that they planted in Picard when he was Locutus
Yeah.
into, the entire Federation. And they did it
Yeah.
using millennials, no, Gen Zers. No
Gen
one
Z
over
is yeah.
no one over 25
25.
years old. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So basically, they basically basically like a virus, and it's like it's the
Yeah.
virus is inside the
Infected all the
transporter.
youth. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why, in the last two episodes, the changelings were saying everyone had to go through the transporter, which they generally do
Mhm.
anyway. But it was
Yeah,
all the
everybody
young
normally
people.
just beams aboard because it's easier, it's convenient. And this is the
Yeah.
problem with convenience. Convenience bites you in the butt in the future. And knowing everybody forgets about like, oh, is this easier if we just do this, whatever. This convenience. Take advantage of convenience at your peril. So again, the thing about this, the transport thing, right? They've set this up right now where they basically decimated all of the brilliant people, the leadership from Starfleet. They're all gone.
Done.
They're basically
Done.
gone hiding or whatever, like just done for. And all that's left is the youth, the future generation. And genius about this storyline is this sets up so many future things that you could do. because Starfleet's finished right now. They have to start over with a whole new generation, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many storylines you can do. There's movies, TV shows about lack of people don't have information about how to do something, why you did it. Like I know people that work on boats or whatever, and there's a certain way to dock a boat and do whatever. But like that's because you had your grandfather's grandfather was like, this is how you do it, son. You tie this knot
Right.
this way. That's all gone
Mm-hmm.
for Starfleet. That is all gone. All the people, all the knowledge about how to do something and why you have to do it, all wiped out, except for I guess people on Earth still at Run Academy. But like Starfleet is decimated right now. This is insane.
It's done,
They
man.
cannot leave the storyline here. There's so much to tell after this.
We have one episode left. And again,
Mm-hmm.
you're so true. Like if all of like the top brass at like Starfleet is gone, where does the
Mm-hmm.
show go after, next week?
Decades of knowledge is wiped out in a heartbeat, man.
But check
That's
this out.
huge.
So
Yeah.
if it's nothing but Gen Zers left and like some older
Mhm.
people, maybe down, on Earth, and
There
also
gotta be some
obviously,
admirals on Earth still
yeah,
that knows what they're
exactly,
doing. Yeah.
So if that's the case, it makes a lot of sense that the next show would be called Star Trek Academy.
Yeah.
It
That
makes a lot of sense.
I hope this guy's running that show too. Like I really hope so. Or somebody
Dude.
that's in his camp because I'm on board for Star Trek now. I'm done with Star Wars. I'm 100% on board
Listen,
Star Trek right now if that's the case.
I told you the dopest thing that Star Wars came out with is Andor
Mhm.
and the Bad Batch, and that's it. Everything else from
That's
like,
it.
the movies until
Awful.
they started doing the shows,
Awful.
horrible, completely. Now,
Awful.
the other dope thing is this, right?
Mm.
The Borg obviously couldn't do this on their own because they're the Borg. They look a certain way, right? So they
Yeah, they
needed
have
the
the
help of the
capacity.
changelings to actually
Mhm.
infiltrate Starfleet because, they can change into whoever, right?
Yeah.
And, I guess for doing that, the Borg said, I'm going to give you plasma, I'm going to give you body parts, organs. So it'll
Yeah,
look
like
like,
yeah, I think the
yeah,
Borg is the ones that helped them like grow
yep.
into the new style of
Mm-hmm.
the a new changeling that can fool whatever transporters and everything else, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So you have the new generation of that. There's so many storylines here. This is
Right.
what hurts. Like Star Trek is finally on the right path, and everybody's old and they're retiring. Like this is the worst time for this to happen.
Yeah.
This should have happened like 10 years ago.
I think the other interesting thing is this synchronistic technology they have where all the ships
Yeah,
now are
yeah.
connected. I think that's really interesting because
Mm.
it's actually a detriment to have that if you can't disable it because apparently they can't disable it.
Yeah, all the new ships it goes back to you want everything easier and you need the harder way. Gotta
Yeah.
go back to the harder way. I think that it basically at the end of this, Picard has to take over all of Starfleet. He's gotta run that thing and they gotta delegate whoever's left over to try and pass down some knowledge and fixes. They
Yeah.
have to decouple all the ships. That's the dumbest thing I could ever think of. And the only reason this happened, it has to be a changeling or Borg that was like, yeah, let's connect everything all together. This is a great idea.
Yeah.
And they went along with it. That's the only way
Now,
this is possible.
Jack obviously he got the seed that Picard that the Borg planted in
Mm-hmm.
Picard. Let me ask you this here. So that was done through, just a pregnancy, so he spread the seed. So these
Mm-hmm.
Gen Zers that are now infected, right? If they don't come up with a virus or an antivirus or a vaccine or something like that, something that knocked that out,
Yeah, that's a
if
good
they have
question, actually.
kids, they're also going to be infected as well.
Yeah, you're looking at a whole generation going forward and it's different races and cultures and
Yeah.
different planets, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that are gonna have this receiver in their DNA.
Yep.
So like this is way more complicated rather than even if you stop the Jack from sending out the signal, you have a big problem, a giant
Yeah.
problem for
Yeah.
cultures and other planets here that this thing can be activated as dormant right now, and that it was even possible to do it in the first place. This is not a simple task of we'll just turn the receiver off.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's a huge issue. I love this is the thing that I loved about Star Trek. Star Trek was asking these moral dilemma type questions throughout all of the shows, even the original TNG or the
Yep.
original Star Trek. The the first one with Kirk, they were always asking moral dilemma questions and how do you solve it? And there's no win stuff like the what's it the maroon? What's that? The test that they have to do.
And
Yeah,
they were
yeah, they
going
have
through
to
the
take
whole
this
thing.
test, and basically the
Yeah.
whole point of the test is that it's impossible. I know people are gonna be screaming when they watch this on, on YouTube, but like it's a test that it's an impossible task. Is you're gonna fail no matter what, and
Right.
if they're not judging you to get the test right. They're judging what your response is and how you act as a person, as a leader.
Right.
And this is one of those situations where like this is an impossible task, and you need to see how you, as a leader, respond to this. And I this is the thing I loved about Star Trek always is that it's Kobayashi Maru. That's what it is. Something like that. Anyways,
Something.
this is the thing about I liked about Star Trek is that
Mm-hmm.
they ask these moral questions about life and just being in the galaxy and what you're allowed and what you can't do. And they got back to this essence here, and so I'm bummed out, man. This is gonna be end. I'm really bummed out. I hope this Terry guy is allowed to get a raise and
Yeah.
see some move up in the company and just take
Terry,
over.
give this guy a raise. He put his foot into this entire season. Dopest thing on television. I do have
Mm-hmm.
3 possible endings for this
Mm-hmm.
here. Okay,
Okay.
so the first one is the crew actually devised the plan knowing that Jack would go to the Borg ship and also knowing that he would be plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they inserted something into his system like a virus. So once he's plugged in, then it like infiltrates throughout the entire Borg, and that's how it's defeated. The other way
Yeah.
is the other ending is Jack somehow defeats the Queen, or he does something himself.
That's a
You
tough
know,
task right there.
the Queen is serious, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the other ending is Jack dies.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Yeah.
would be horrible because to end Picard with the fact that Beverly Crusher already
She
lost
lost two
Wesley
kids,
Crusher,
man.
and now she's
Yeah, she
about to
lost two
lose.
kids.
How can you end a season like
That's
that, an
rough.
entire show, and not come back?
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
that's
don't know how
rough,
you can do
man.
that to Beverly Crusher, who's like a rock star in the whole, Star
Yeah,
Trek
yeah.
game, So I don't know, but I kind of think it's the first one. I kind of think that a plan has been devised, knowing that Jack would go back to the Borg ship, knowing that Jack
Mm-hmm.
would be plugged up, and maybe Geordi and Data, created something where once he's plugged up, something is infiltrated throughout the entire system. Because remember, the first
Mm-hmm.
time they defeated the Borg, that's how they did it with the virus. They put a
Yeah, yeah,
virus in.
they
They
did the
put a
virus in
virus
the
in. Oh
thing.
boy, what's old boy's name? The Borg that they got, and then he became
Oh,
friends
yeah,
with
yeah.
Data. Yeah, they put a
Yeah.
virus in him. So I mean, and they also put a virus. They released a virus on the Changelings. They did create a vaccine, but they
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna
Yeah, that's a
kill you first,
revisionist
then I'm gonna
history
create
right
the
there.
vaccine. You know what I'm saying? I'm
That's
gonna shoot you
revisionist
first, then
history.
like patch up the the gun wound.
I'll fix your wound. Don't worry, I got you, boy. We're
Yeah.
friends again. Like, yo.
But this joint is dope, man. Like, how can you compare this to a show like The Mandalorian?
You know what? It goes back to care. Like, it seems to me, it feels like Terry cares, and the other guys who are doing these other shows do not care. They're just
Collecting a
like,
check.
we need to hurry up and create products and throw this out there, and then we'll get our bonuses and we'll go on and create more product. Like that's what it seems like. It doesn't feel like there's. You could tell like this guy spent time trying to figure out how can I get a good storyline, how can I incorporate the whole cast, have everybody have their little time to shine because everybody did something rock star in this series. Like everybody did something like we talked about this before, but like this is Jordy's show right here. This last show when he showed up with the Enterprise D, like that was his time to
That's
shine.
it. That's it.
Everybody's had a chance to be
Yep.
like, yo,
Everyone.
I'm the
Every
man,
single one. Mm-hmm.
and this is why you guys love me for 20 something years, wherever this thing came out, 1980, whatever. Everybody has a time to be like, this is why you guys love this show, and this is why I was your favorite character, whatever. And this is the thing. I love watching shows like this when the lead star is competent. I love that.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like you're not getting embarrassed by somebody else or whatever. Like the star of the show is competent and he's doing a good job or whatever. You may meet somebody that's just as competent as you and you go through a rough patch or whatever. But like the star of the show is the star of the show. There's no question. This is Picard show. He doesn't look like he's some confused old man with like eating
Like from
tapioca.
season 1 and 2.
Yeah. He didn't look confused. When Picard sat down in that chair and it was like maximum work engaged,
Yep.
everybody's like, yeah, that's right.
He's back.
Everybody looked at him like, yo, this guy's a boss. He had bass in his voice and everything, but he didn't look like he's the old guy sitting down in a chair feebly. Like he looked like, he looked at him and said, engage. Done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Even Sidney LaForge had a little bit of time to shine as well.
Yeah, everybody had their chance to shine in this show, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm tired of watching shows where they embarrass the lead star and they made them look incompetent. Like the Mandalorian just now, the Din Djarin gets captured. He has to get saved like 18 times this season alone. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And the other thing is this too, and this is just like because this happened in The Mandalorian. I think like when you have a show like this, a sci-fi show especially, right? Like this, and then you start inserting pop culture stars into the show. For me, that means that the show is flailing. Something is going on. Why did you insert Lizzo? Exactly. It's just like if you have a cast that's competent, then it's gonna work.
You don't need nobody else.
Yeah, you don't need anyone else, And the other thing is this with Picard, right? I also think that it's kind of no way that, the Borg can be, killed because, Geordi still has to go rescue his 2 daughters. So we know, I kind of feel that both his daughters will be rescued because of that. I also feel that's going to happen because I just think that the Star Trek, franchise, I think they have something they really want to do with Sidney LaForge. I
hope so. Everybody, all the cast in this season were all great additions to the show in the future of Star Trek. There wasn't anybody that was there that was like, this person's so annoying. I can't stand them. I never want to see them again. Everyone was a great addition. They fit right in like a glove.
Oh, so you're talking about like the bridge crew of the Titan. They were all on point.
Everybody,
all
they fit in. It was smooth. Yep. There was nobody annoying. There wasn't anybody doing too much in the background. Like, it just felt right in. Even the red shirts, they were fine. Like, what I'm saying? Like everybody was fine. They fit right in. And so like I hope that they save Jack, or if he's gonna be the new villain for the series, that's great too. But like they need to continue this timeline and with this group of people, even if they're all retired and they go back to be admirals and sit down in chair, that's fine. Let the young people go out on adventures. But this storyline with everything that just happened needs to be continued at Paramount. They have to. Like, this is a waste if they do.
I kind of feel like I have to go back and watch season 2 because the old Queen Borg was there before they blasted her, right? And there is something leading up to season 3. Season 1 was kind of weird. I may have to watch season 2 again. I may have to watch it again because it really helped what's going on right now in season 3. So I may have to watch that. I may have to take a look at that again.
This is the genius of Terry. Terry was like, this is all I have in front of me. I'm going to make the best pizza pie out of all of these parts. There's asparagus here. There's a turnip. I'm going to make the best pizza pie out of this thing. He did what he had to do. He took all the parts from the original season, whatever, incorporated into this one, and he made a masterpiece.
Man.
Anybody who's not watching this show, stop what you're doing. Go watch this show. It deserves it, man.
This joint is 100%. Fire. I to be honest with you, when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, it's going to be like season 2. But
I wasn't sure.
The first episode was just like, once you can't start a show off, a season off with the first episode like that and then start lagging behind throughout the entire season. They started with this fire and they continued on with the fire. And now
that's a great point.
The big bang, with the series finale next week, man, I'm for it. I'm waiting for it.
I am excited, but you're right. They kept up the intensity and the interest. Like there's a lot of shows, they got filler episodes and like you're meeting Lizzo on a planet. They just do nonsense that don't matter to overall storyline. Each of these episodes was needed, and each of these episodes provided good information and it made you want to see the next show. And
Exactly.
that's what this was all about. Like even if you had all the episodes at once, you could stream it. You're gonna sit if you started this show, you're gonna sit here and
I'm
watch
sitting
all of it
down
into
all
completion.
day. I'm
You're
going to
not
be
gonna
up until
live like,
like
oh, I can
9,
watch it
8 a.m.
whenever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so true,
There's
man.
no way. Yeah,
And
you're
you know what?
watching.
And I'm definitely going to do that anyway.
Yeah,
Once
I'm
the show
watching
is
again for
over, I'm
sure.
watching it. I'm sitting down watching all 10 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
So let's zip this up, man, because again, Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
Picard, the final season, episode number 9, The Vox. This entire season is fire. We both gave this episode a 10. We're looking forward to the series finale. It's going to be fire. You know it is because every episode was fire. This entire season thus far has been fire.
Greatness. It's got the nostalgia stuff, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's just the right sprinkle. The music was on point. When they stepped on the bridge and they played the theme song, I was like, oh, man. Yeah. And you start feeling, you get the little emotional part and you're like, oh, man, this is it. They did it right. Like,
I love this
I
show,
love
man.
it. Yeah, man.
Well,
100%.
Gotta love it, right? Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.